Alarms shriek through Terminal 3. Ma'am, step aside for additional screening. TSA Agent Marcus Webb points toward the private screening area, his voice dripping with the kind of authority that comes from a badge and a power trip. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, traveling home from a medical conference, quietly complies. 5 years of civilian life. 5 years of hiding her past. 5 years of letting people see only what they expected to see. But some secrets refuse to stay buried. What happens next will end careers, go viral on social media, and remind everyone why you never judge a warrior by their civilian clothes. The random selection wasn't random. Agent Webb had been watching Sarah since she entered the security line. Professional woman, expensive luggage, confident bearing, the kind of traveler who probably thought she was above standard procedures. He was about to teach her otherwise. Empty your bag completely. Everything on the table. Sarah's hands moved methodically. Laptop, medical journals, conference materials, toiletries. Normal travel items from a normal professional woman living a normal life, except for the small black case at the bottom of her bag. What's in here? Webb demanded, holding up the case like he'd found contraband. Personal items. Open it. Now. Sarah's fingers paused on the clasps. Inside that case was everything she'd spent 5 years trying to forget. Everything she'd worked so hard to leave behind. Everything that explained why she chose emergency medicine over her previous career. She opened the case. Webb's face went white. Folded with military precision was a Navy uniform. Not just any Navy uniform. The kind with ribbons that told stories most people couldn't imagine. The kind with insignia that meant the woman standing in front of him wasn't just a doctor. She was someone who'd earned the right to never explain herself to anyone. The trident gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Navy SEAL. Is this real? Webb whispered. For 5 years, Sarah had answered that question with silence. She'd let people assume she was just another civilian professional, just another woman in scrubs saving lives in trauma bays, just another traveler trying to get home. Today, that silence ended. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, SEAL Team 6. 12 years active duty. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. 3 Purple Hearts, Navy Cross, Medal of Valor. The words dropped into the security checkpoint like grenades. Webb took a step backward. Around them, other passengers began to notice the commotion. Phones appeared. Someone started recording. Within minutes, the video would be uploaded to social media with captions like TSA agent gets destroyed by female Navy SEAL. Ma'am, we didn't know. You didn't ask. Sarah began folding her uniform with the same military precision it had been stored with. Every crease perfect, every fold deliberate. 20 years of muscle memory taking over in a civilian airport. You saw a woman in business attire and decided she needed to be put in her place. You saw expensive luggage and assumed I thought I was special. You saw confidence and mistook it for arrogance. More TSA agents were arriving. Word had spread through the security area faster than airport Wi-Fi. A Navy SEAL was being harassed at Checkpoint 3. Female SEAL, the kind that most people thought didn't exist. Ma'am, we're just following protocol. Protocol. Sarah's voice carried the kind of quiet authority that comes from leading men in combat. Your protocol is to randomly select travelers for additional screening based on what, exactly? Webb couldn't answer. He was still staring at the uniform, at the ribbons, at the trident that meant this woman had survived training that broke most men who attempted it. Agent Webb, isn't it? Sarah read his name tag with the same clinical precision she used to assess trauma patients. How long have you worked for TSA? 3 years, ma'am. 3 years. And in those 3 years, how many actual threats have you personally identified? We've prevented. That wasn't my question. The crowd was growing. Passengers from other security lines had abandoned their places to watch the quiet woman systematically dismantle a federal agent with nothing more than calm questions and perfect military bearing. 0, Webb admitted quietly. 0 threats identified. But you've probably harassed hundreds of innocent travelers. Elderly people whose shoes set off metal detectors. Mothers traveling with children. Professionals trying to do their jobs. Sarah placed her uniform back in the case and snapped it closed. Do you know what I did for 12 years? Agent Webb, you were in the military. Ma'am, I hunted actual terrorists, not imaginary ones. Not travelers whose only crime was looking prosperous or confident. I tracked down people who wanted to kill Americans. I found them in caves, in cities, in places your training manual probably doesn't even mention. The terminal had gone quiet around them. Even the background noise of announcements and rolling luggage seemed muted. I spent 12 years protecting people like you, like everyone in this airport, like everyone in this country, and when I was done, when I'd given everything I could give, I came home and became a trauma surgeon. Sarah shouldered her bag and prepared to leave. Know why I became a doctor, Agent Webb? No ma'am, because after spending 12 years learning how to take lives to protect innocent people, I wanted to spend the rest of my career saving them. She walked toward the exit, but turned back one more time. Next time you see someone who carries themselves with confidence, someone whose bearing suggests they've seen more than most people, someone whose calm seems earned rather than assumed, maybe consider that they've already proven themselves in ways you can't imagine. The video went viral within hours. TSA agent learns not to mess with Navy SEAL collected 3 million views in the first day. The comments section became a celebration of military service and a critique of airport security overreach. Agent Webb faced administrative review and was eventually transferred to a position where he processed paperwork instead of harassing travelers. But the bigger impact was on Sarah. For 5 years, she'd hidden her military service, thinking it was easier to blend in as just another civilian professional. The airport incident changed that perspective entirely. 3 weeks later, Sarah was invited to speak at a medical conference about battlefield trauma techniques. 6 months later, she was consulting with the Department of Veterans Affairs on improving trauma care for wounded warriors. A year later, she opened the Mitchell Center for Combat Trauma Research, where former military medics and civilian doctors work together to develop life-saving techniques. The center's motto, displayed prominently in the lobby, "Service never ends, it just changes form." Agent Webb never personally apologized, but he did send a letter to the center 3 years later. His nephew had been wounded in Afghanistan and treated using techniques developed by Sarah's research team. Dr. Mitchell, the letter read, "I want you to know that your work saved my family member's life. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand what service really means." Sarah framed the letter and hung it next to her Navy Cross. But the most meaningful recognition came from an unexpected source. 5 years after the airport incident, Sarah was traveling through the same terminal when she was approached by a young TSA agent. "Dr. Mitchell, I'm Agent Rodriguez. I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "The video of your interaction with Agent Webb is part of our training now. It teaches us about respectful treatment of travelers and recognizing service in all its forms. Because of you, we're better at our jobs." Sarah smiled. "Agent Rodriguez, what's the most important part of your job?" "Keeping people safe, ma'am." "Then we're in the same business, just different uniforms." This is Sarah Mitchell's story. But it's also the story of every veteran who's chosen to serve their country twice, first in uniform, then as civilians who bring military values to civilian careers. It's the story of emergency room doctors who learn triage in combat zones, police officers who learn leadership under fire, teachers who learn discipline from drill sergeants, business leaders who learn teamwork from military units. They're everywhere. These quiet professionals who've traded military uniforms for civilian clothes but never lost the values that made them warriors. Most of the time, you'll never know who they are. They'll blend into normal life, doing normal jobs, living normal lives, until someone makes the mistake of assuming that normal means ordinary. Then you discover that the person sitting next to you on the airplane used to jump out of them. The woman treating your injuries in the air used to treat them under enemy fire. The teacher managing your child's classroom used to manage soldiers in combat. Sarah Mitchell spent 5 years hiding her service record. Now she spends her time making sure other veterans never have to.